I'm just.
Just add an amendment.
Yeah, just add it to it.
Do you accept that amendment to your motion?
Yes, sir, I will.
Without all that other stuff?
Yes, sir, I will.
And we'll vote on the motion as amended, basically the same thing that we adopt United Healthcare Plan.
MJ, sir. M6J.
MJ?
7M.
M6J.
Yeah. With, and that the savings from this plan be put into escrow for
Future
cost
of health insurance.
To offset future increases.
Offset any future increases in insurance.
Yeah.
If there are no future increases in insurance, then
it grows.
We'll worry about that.
Well, we'll just leave that alone.
Let's see what happens. Let's see. All right. Motion in order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Burrow?
No.
Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Frances?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Baca?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Mr. Trish? Dr. Keller?
Yes.
9 yeas, 2.
9 yeas and 2 nays. All right. Mr. Joe, you had 2 agents that you turned this plan over to. Is that right, or one? Who did you? Who are 2 carriers? I don't know what you would call.
We issued one quote, which you have with the 27 options, to 2 agents of record. One was John Miette, and the second was Wayne Frizang.
Pleasure of the board in reference to that.
May I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
What's the recommendation of the?
His recommendation?
Wait. His recommendation is that plan
That we decide.
That we. Yeah, basically we have to decide on.
They've punted it to us.
That the board will decide on who will basically be the administrator of the plan.
Yeah.
What's the recommendation?
My recommendation?
No. What's the recommendation of the administration? Oh, no. I know Mr. Wise said previously that we weren't going to micromanage, so we're going to start taking everything to the forefront.
And so I think you'll like this, Mr. Burrell. My motion is that United Health should decide who is its own agent. It's not our business to do that.
That's a second on that motion. I'll
second that motion.
Let them arm wrestle over it. It ain't our business.
Substitute motion.
I'll open this for public participation. This is a very important.
Would I count as public?
Yeah, you're public.
Is that right?
Right now, until we sign the contract.
Okay, understood. And I appreciate the opportunity with the vote that you just took prior on the plan. So, from United Healthcare's point of view, we couple of things. One, it is very important for us to continue to utilize the broker distribution model. We do not sell direct. Through our agent, we do not have in what I would consider a overhead of a sales force to administer that. There is absolute value in having a broker manage your health plan. The second thing is it is not my responsibility or is it really appropriate for me to determine who the best agent of record is for your health plan. And the reason why I say that is because both brokers have unique value that they can provide your plan. Okay, both are agents that have worked with United Healthcare in the past. Both are familiar with our process. Okay, but we have never picked a broker of record for any of our customers.
With all due respect, sir, the agent does not represent us. He represents they represent you.
They're going to be
Finish,
managing.
please.
Go right ahead.
You spoke
Absolutely.
your piece.
Monday.
Yeah.
It is not up to us to decide who sells your product any more than it's up to us to decide who sells Ford's products or General Motors products. If you have no preference, flip a coin. It makes no difference. It is not our decision to make.
Well,
And if we start getting involved in picking the person who's going to represent you, then he or she or they, it becomes political.
We're in public participation. Mr. Joe, you may sit down now.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Let him
Ms.
decide.
Iona, you want to be the public?
Iona Holloway, school employee, and a member of the insurance committee for 26 years. This board and past boards have never chosen an agent of record.
Amen.
This board and other boards have never chosen an agent of record. Your decision was based on who was the best person to administer the policy for the employees. That's what your decisions were made on. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job.
I agree with that.
So I guess you can't tell insurance man how to do his job.
There's a motion on the
Well,
floor.
if she's basically saying that.
Miss Holloway and I agree on something.
All right, gentlemen, y'all ready? What was the motion?
Hey, man, pass.
Motion was for United Healthcare to decide who would be the agent of record.
I have a substitute motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Earl.
Yeah, Mr. Sanders has a...
Well, let me ask a question. Because, well, it went from public participation. Should it go to the board before I make it public?
Well, I'm the public. Anyone else public participation? You know, Mr. Sanders, it's time to make a decision.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. That's cool.
Go ahead. Public right now?
Yeah, public.
Do you have a dog in this hunt, sir?
Yes, sir.
You know, I guess I go back to Dawes Armstrong. We've never had an agent of record, but is there an agent who's going to administer the plan that we have? I mean, do we call it an agent of record, or we have to call it an agent of record, or
No.
agent who's going to administer our plan for us?
An agent of record represents
I
us.
call it an administrator of the plan.
Administer the plan.
I don't think I want to call it an agent of record.
But
And
that's
someone-
the terminology that we've been using, so in terms of the phrase. So what
An agent of record is completely different. Yes. Sir.
okay, so I would like to make a substitute motion to have an agent to administer our plan. An agent that I'd like to make a motion.
The agent would be to produce the record. We in past we signed off as the had an agent of record in the past.
Not while I've been in
We haven't
existence.
appointed that agent of record. The board did have an agent of record.
Okay, that's fine. A motion for an administrator of the health plan.
But do you want for us to make that selection?
Yeah, I'd like for us to make that selection.
Oh, I can make a motion?
Wait. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
But
I'm saying, since I've been on this board,
We have a motion right now. You want to make a substitute?
I want to make a substitute motion.
Yeah.
I haven't had any
I don't know.
problems with Mr. Fasane since I've been on the board, insurance, and since I would just like to make a motion that we stay with the provider that we have right now who's been implementing insurance.
That's your motion?
Yes, I want to keep Mr. Fasane as the agent of record.
All right. You have a second to that?
I'll second that motion. That's
All
correct.
right. Relinquish.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, relinquish.
Sure, you may.
I would like to make a substitute. We nominate Mr. John Mead as agent. Second that motion? Second. So where we at, Tom?
Guess we're on you now.
No, not on me.
We have to vote on your motion.
Second substitute motion
John
first.
Mead.
Substitute motion. Original motion.
John Mead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ms. Stacy, can you read the motion that we're about to vote on?
You have to have
to wait.
discussion on the motion.
The motion made by Dr. Keller, but I don't know who seconded. Mr. Ori. Seconded by Mr. Ori is to name John Mead as the agent to administer our health.
And we're presently waiting on Mr. Jones to return. Mr. Jack would like to speak. Mr. Jack?
I'd just like to make a statement that I've been wrestling with this, pondered, called my attorney before attempting to vote this because I've had some allegations that came up upon me that I very offended by. This board, since I've been on it, I can never recall, as it has been said earlier, where this board had to appoint an agent. I've never been a part of politicking or pushing for any agent for any reason. I'm appalled, I'm disturbed, and I'm upset about those allegations, which was why I called and spoke to my attorney and board attorney for even voting, because it was not a big deal to me, nor will it be a big deal to me. I have never received anything from any agent, nor will I try to receive anything from any agent, but I will vote because I was elected to represent the people, and I will vote my conscience. I have always voted my conscience and voted with heart and the representation of the people who elected me. And I just like the statement to be known that before you go with these false allegations, before anybody go with these false allegations, they need to know what they're talking about. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sanders, can Mr. Jack vote last and only vote if he's the deciding vote? Can we bypass Mr. Jack, let him vote only if he's the deciding vote? Mr. Barkow, Mr. LeBlanc.
Not without waiving our policy.
Hmm?
Yeah. He wants to allow Mr. Jack to wait to vote last.
Can Mr. Jack not vote in order and let him vote last?
That's a policy decision, a board decision.
I don't even know there's a policy in terms of which way we vote or which order.
So is there a policy in terms of voting? Do we have to vote in order?
No.
Well, we can do it with the lights, too.
Chairperson, we've
Dr.
always
Keller.
voted it. This board has voted for the last 50 years in order of school districts, with the exception that the board president is always
Let's use the lights, please.
Yeah, but about the presentation.
Okay,
Are we going to? Each of the agents have presentations. If you want.
I'm not aware.
okay. Right is left is no.
Is the pleasure of the board to the pleasure of the board? The pleasure of the board. Let's find out what the pleasure of the board is in terms of allowing the agents to do a presentation that's prepared.
Call for question. Call for question.
Question on the table.
May I make a suggestion?
Suggestion, Mr. Wise.
This is not a decision that has to be made tonight.
Call for question. We have to vote on a call for question.
I move we table this issue until the first
Call for
meeting
question.
in
We have to vote on the call for question.
Motion to table. Motion question. Motion to table. Motion confused. Motion to table.
There's a motion. The first motion.
First motion is the question. First motion
Motion
question.
is to call for a question.
Question. Is there a second
Which
to
is the
that?
higher precedence? Which is the higher
He
precedence?
made his motion to
call for
He
question.
made a motion to call for a question. He needs a second on that motion.
Is there a second to that motion to call for question? Second by Mr. Jack.
And you vote on it. The question can't be made in the middle. I thought the discussion was over. Patrick had already made a question.
He didn't have the. I don't think he had the
discussion
floor.
was unfinished.
Forward. You can't question in the middle of. No, you're right. I agree with you, but I thought the discussion was over.
The discussion was over, and then it became
Yes.
the pleasure of the board.
I made a
as to
call
whether
for
or not
question.
the
Now we have to
presentation-
vote on the call for question. And we're voting on Mr. Keller's motion to present Mr. John Millett as the
substitute.
agent of record. right?
Well,
Right.
So we're going to vote on Mr. Keller's motion.
We need a
to vote
ruling
on
from
question.
the
Vote on
chair
the-
on an issue
Vote on the
here.
motion for a question first. There's a second to the motion for a call
motion
for
by
a
Mr.
question.
Burrows, second
need
by
to-
Mr. Jack in terms
you
of
vote
call
on
for
it.
question.
Right.
Well, we haven't, point of information, we haven't really finished the discussion.
Well, and that's the issue. Is his motion in order? Is the discussion still going on?
I think the
and that's
motion-
only a ruling the chair can
The
make.
question is,
I think the motion's in order on the motion to call for a question. With a second, you vote on that motion.
Legal has advised us that the motion is in order.
Okay.
There's a motion by Mr. Jack. Motion by Mr. Burrows, second by Mr. Jack. Call for question. Roll call, please. Call.
It does not decide the motion. It only calls
For
for
the
a
end
vote
of
on the motion.
discussion. Correct. And just another point of clarification, call for question ends all discussion at this point.
Mr. Jack,
Voting on the
Whether
call
or
for
not
question.
to end discussion. That's all we're voting on, whether or not to end discussion and take a vote.
Mr. Burrow,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Mr. Frances,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Absolutely.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Wise,
No.
sorry, Mr. Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Ori,
No.
Trish, Dr. Keller.
no.
9 yeas, 3 nays.
9 yeas, 3 nays. Motion passes. Call for question. At this point, we're going to vote on the second substitute motion by Dr. Keller.
Right, right.
9 and 2.
I'm sorry, 8.
8 and 3.
Eight and
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Now we're
There's 3 no.
8 and 3, that's what he said.
8.
8 and 3.
Yeah. Now, what motion we voting on now?
Second substitute motion by Dr. Keller is?
Made by Dr. Keller, seconded by Mr. Ori, name John Miet as the agent to administer our health plan.
And now we vote.
Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Burrow?
No.
Sanders?
No.
Mr. Frances? No. Mr. Jones?
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson?
Abstain.
Johnson? Mr. Wise?
I abstain.
Mr. Baca?
No.
Mr. Ori?
No.
Trish? And Dr. Keller.
Yes.
We have 2 yeas, 6 nays, 3 abstentions.
2 yeas, 6 nays, 3 abstentions. Fails. First substitute motion is.
The motion by Mr. Burrow, seconded by Mr. Sanders. Stay with the current provider, Mr. Wayne Forsang, that has been administering our plan.
Roll call, please.
I asked Mr. Sanders should ask.
Those are made as we go along.
Mr. Jack?
Yes.
Mr. Burrow?
Yes.
Mr. Frances?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Wise?
Abstain.
Baca?
Yes.
Mr. Ori? Trish? Dr. Keller?
Yes.
And Mr. Sanders.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 nay, 2 abstentions.
8 yeas, 1 nay, 2 abstentions. Motion carries.
I think, Mr. Joe, I think in order, I think we're going to need to start doing open enrollment. Is that what we need to do? Tomorrow? So,
Yep. So we,
Sorry, Mr. Hill, because I need to have you here.
Okay. Yes, would you care to explain open enrollment, sir?
yeah, well, what we'll do first, thank you very much for the opportunity with United Healthcare, and since you've elected the the agent will begin to work with Mr. Frazane, and we'll start tomorrow. We'll have to lay out the census, all the population, and we'll get that loaded to our process and begin the enrollment period. So we'll be flexible, and however you want to, location, times, to get those enrollment meetings going.
Thank you, sir. You'll deal with that, Mr. Frazane, and our administration.
That is correct.
In terms of dealing with that.
We will, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Now we're under old business. Item A, which was Dr. Keller's
Calendar.
request approval for school board meeting calendar, moved by Mr. Jones. Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Barker. Any opposition to that motion?